By the time this goes to broadcast viewers, we may just see lots and lots of things unfold in the Gulf, in this region on the Arabian Sea, because the Americans are flexing all military muscle. The Iranians are saying, bring it on. We're going to give it back to you. War. That's the question.
Yeah, to go to or not to go to war. This could well be the most dated take three, or it could be the most prescient one, depending on, what happens over the weekend. But look, the drumbeat of war is definitely, resonant across the Strait of Hormuz, across the Persian Gulf, the entire Middle East. It sounds odd when you say, what is the case for going to war? Because I believe, there should never be a case to go to war. The case that's being made to go to war is that what does Trump want? Trump wants Iran to give up its nuclear ambitions. He wants Iran to say that they're not going to enrich anymore and they're going to turn in their ballistic missiles. No country will agree to such a deal, right? Especially after what's happened with Ukraine. And now, in hindsight, everybody's saying, had Ukraine had nuclear weapons, maybe the Russians would not have attacked. It's the ultimate deterrent, as it were. So no country is going to agree to that deal. So short of that deal, how does Trump, extract something out of the Iranians which he can show back to the American people and to the rest of the world as a win? Trump is not someone who gets into this long-winded, Iraq situation that, George Bush got into, or even like the Vietnam War that Nixon got into. He wants quick deals. He is, after all, the master of the art of the deal, right? So either this is a pressure tactic to try and get the Iranians to concede more on this whole nuclear question, or he believes that he's left with no option but a short burst, like we had the 12-day war last time around. But that had a very specific objective. The objective was he wants to take down the nuclear sites, the 3 nuclear sites. Now, you can argue whether he did that fully well or not. That's a separate thing. But at least there was an objective. Here, I think the objective is a little in a bit of a flux. So which is why I think he's still trying to pile the pressure on Iran to try and, all this armada and all of that, much like what he did with Maduro. But of course, Venezuela and Iran are not the
Maduro,
same.
they're not the same. And the deployment there was not as much as the deployment here. The readiness here, Rahul, 1/3 of the American naval fleet being moved. He is ready to leave certain other areas open, and also rallying up all the air bases all around. There clearly is, this is beyond braggadocio. This is beyond just flexing muscle.
No. I think it's both flexing muscle, but in a very hypocritical way. I mean, there are 3 or 4 things that I want to point out here. Number one is the belief that somehow Iranians can't responsibly handle nuclear weapons. There is an apartheid in this world. We faced it. We face sanctions as if brown people are somehow more nuclear trigger happy. You have an Islamic bomb already, and it sits just across our border in Pakistan, right? Has Trump ever gone in there and said, look, let's have a look at your nuclear arsenal. Let's look at what's under your bonnet. Give us control of all these weapon systems. Or we confiscate because you're a threat to Israel, or you're a threat to our interests in the Gulf. And we're talking about a Pakistan today that fights a war against India with Chinese help. I mean, if there is anyone that has a backdoor to China, it is Pakistan. So why hasn't Trump launched an all-out offensive and grabbed the Pakistani nuclear weapons? So that's one. The hypocrisy is so offensive, because inbuilt is an element of racism, and secondly, this sort of, that we can do what we want.